everybody, I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching Agatha All Along, Season 1, I think that's what we're going with. Episodes 3 and 4, lyrics of the song.
Yeah. Through many miles of tricks and trials, and if I can't reach you, let my song teach you.
We're gonna talk about both of them, just to, establish their... What?
No, go ahead.
They're on the Witch's Road.
Yes.
They're going down it. They
if
are
we know one thing.
having tricks and trials. Yeah. It's dangerous. Where are you?
I'm still liking it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a couple of things. I actually kind of like how, Monster of the Weeky it is. I'm kind of digging that. I do think that's suited for shows that have a higher episode count, and I think this is only going to be, 8, did we decide?
Between 8 or 10.
And so in that, I've got 9. This says 9. So in that sense, I feel like we are...
I'm sensing a formula.
I'm sensing a formula for sure, up until including the point that, both of the things at the Oasis visions were both houses, just different houses. And I could use a little bit more variety with that, I guess. And also, this one is mostly me. I'm sure everybody else is loving it. I think Kathryn Hahn is doing a little too much with her hands.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot. It's just to the point that it's a little distracting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with it because it suits the character and everything, but it's literally everything. It's almost like she's like, and I'm like, okay,
little on the nose.
I get it.
Is there a wart on that nose?
Exactly. So again, I feel like that's probably more a me thing than everybody, and it's certainly not breaking the show for me, but I have clocked it in every episode where I'm like, you're doing a little too much.
Broad strokes, I like it. I'm definitely on the show's side, certainly, especially in the Culture Wars. As a show, it's a little light.
Yeah.
I would like a little bit more. I think what we're getting is very much... Well, I was impressed with it's Jack... Schaefer. I got it in my head that I liked her as a creator and a showrunner. Having said that, I'm probably going to criticize it a lot, but the places where it has teeth, I'm finding incongruous. The show itself is feeling somewhat juvenile to me.
Okay.
And then there's a handful of shocking and or violent and or sexual moments where I'm like, ooh, that's the show I wish I was watching.
Yes, it does feel like it's been neutered a little for Disney Plus. I agree with that. I would also say because it's the successor to WandaVision, I feel like they're leaning a little bit into the silliness from the beginning of WandaVision when it was the 50s and 60s and 70s
I
TV.
like silly. Some more of this is coming off as elementary than
Sure.
silly. There's a lot of, witchcraft 101 stuff, which I don't hate. Like I said, and that's why I was like, broad strokes, I like it. I'm on its side. I'm appreciating the fun that we're having. I just wish it was a slightly more cohesive thing.
Yeah, because I agree with you there where I feel like Agatha is on a different show than the rest of the witches. And the shows they're on don't match each other.
Agatha and Rio are on their own show.
Exactly. And the only place where it overlaps even a little bit is with Teen, because she has become very protective of him, but then she also is only when nobody's looking can she have that emotion, and so that's becoming very tiresome as well halfway through now, where I'm like, I need you to push through.
I'm fine with Agatha being an anti-hero. I don't need her to be an obstacle in her own
way.
Show.
Yeah.
And so we're at a point now where I am the most bonded and intrigued kind of to Teen and Rio.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the other witches. There is something about them that feels a little half.
It's not all there. It's again, I'm okay with the
stories. Very exposition-y. There's
Sure.
a lot of telling, and I again, like I said, I think that everyone's going for it. I just we're also sort of in a bit of a valley when it comes to content, period, let alone Disney Marvel content.
Yeah.
And so I had heard a statistic, or I had heard a talking point that this was like the cheapest show they've done to date. And that's very evident to me. And that's not necessarily a complaint about the budget. I think that they're doing good work with it, and I think that it's working well the way that it needs to.
But I believe it.
Yeah, well, yeah. There's a lot of sound stages. The episode 3, they were in like a
beach house.
Yeah, like a Knights in Rodanthe. What's that author?
Nicholas Sparks.
Yeah, or there's like a woman that
I don't know, like Jodi Picoult, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was like a white wine or red wine utopia.
Okay, the genre you're thinking about is white wine, for sure.
Yeah.
They had to drink Rioja.
It was like a white wine utopia that had like a dark secret, a dark hidden depths, literally. Am I to take it that it was Sharon's trial? It seems like each house has
a trial for someone specific.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. If we're actually
She can't actually be.
If we're actually done with Deborah Jo Rupp, I'm kind of pissed about it.
She was one of the stronger parts.
I would say, because given how enamored she was of the house, I feel like probably yes, it was hers.
And she made a joke about bury me in that kitchen.
Yeah.
So there was a part of, I don't know.
But then they made a comment about like Jen like not giving her the right amount of antidote because she had 2 glasses of wine. I guess that was like an endless wine bottle because it filled 6 glasses and then 1 again. But anyway, yeah, that kind of stuff. And again, it's like there's really funny, cute little things like throughout where, I mean, the thing with their faces was so funny. The like,
oh, I loved that, but it just came and went.
It came and
in
went.
a way that I was sort of like, oh no, go back to that. Though.
Yeah,
like I guess I wanted body horror, like Nick Jr. body horror.
Maybe because I was also gonna say the like calling Jen out for basically being a snake oil salesman and all of her stuff, like claiming it's natural, but really being all petroleum based. Again, funny, but like, where are we going anywhere further with that? And then
because it was played like a punchline, and I was like, shouldn't that be
like part of it?
It can't be a character revelation because we were introduced to her that
as
way.
a snake oil salesman, exactly. And so that's the kind of thing
it's like
where
it's trying to have it both ways.
Where then we get her like vague half a story in episode 4 where she's like, she's a midwife also apparently, and she was invited to this obstetrics of Boston like committee thing or whatever. And that's where she was bound. She still doesn't know how it happened or who it was, but they were like all kind of like sharing war stories basically. And that's how hers came
They
out.
all had sort of like dark fantasies, like nightmares in the Rodanthe house, and hers was like a surgeon.
Yeah.
But he kind of seemed old-timey. And I asked you while we were watching it, I remembered they said
Lilia,
I always want to call her Lila or Layla. Lilia was like 400 some years old. I guess that was her in the woman in like the Tudors clothing. Okay. I just assumed it was like Anne Boleyn or something because she's one of those that gets called a witch.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was not clear to me that that was possibly meant to be her. Although watching it the second time, I was like, oh, she was speaking Sicilian. She's also having like war flashbacks or something. It's happened multiple times, and Agatha will clock it, but it hasn't been acknowledged.
Alice clocked it once,
Did she?
Yeah, because she was telling her, don't do that. And it almost felt like Alice's mother had taken her over for a minute, because Alice was looking at the picture of her mother. And
is this in the 4th episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure.
So they determined in the 3rd episode, they determined that they were being poisoned and they needed to make a potion, like an antidote, before the house flooded.
Yeah.
And they escaped like an escape room. That was the first thing you said. You were like, oh, yeah, and you said that right when they like uncorked the bottle.
Well, I could see, because so Agatha was like touching the door, there was no knob, and then one of them was like, none of these open. And then the timer started, and I was like, oh, it's an escape room.
We also had Jen warn Teen about trusting Agatha, and she name-dropped Mephisto. I don't know who or what Mephisto is, other than it's something.
I feel like we've been hearing about it forever.
People thought we were gonna get it in WandaVision, and we didn't.
Yeah.
And so part of me is like, okay, well, is this like an Easter egg? Like, or
is it actually finally happening?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, are you just acknowledging that, or is that a step along the way? I was interested in that. But yeah, they got out. It appears that Sharon died. Again, I hate that.
Well, they buried her on the road, and then they had to summon another Green Witch, and it seemed like she came from the same place that Sharon was buried.
I thought so too. I thought they were going to bring Sharon back.
Yeah,
but it was Rio.
It also doing her Aubrey Plaza doing her best poison ivy.
I really. I mean, I am the big fan of Aubrey Plaza's. She's one of those that seems like she would be a one-trick pony, and she's not
acting wise.
Well, she's not. But she does do. She's like a 2 or 3 trick pony. She does similar things very well.
She's
very intriguing.
Yeah, I'm gonna invite a lot of hate my way. I've actually been really not vibing with her press with Patti LuPone.
You were telling me about that.
However,
she puts it on
too much, in my opinion. However, what I will say is, I think she was just on Seth, and she told this story about Patti LuPone being sick while she was living with Patti LuPone. And she got like IV
Were
stuff.
they living while they were filming?
No, it was way, like a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah. And so she was like, so she got sick, and Patti LuPone was like, well, I have to go out to this gala, but my doctor's gonna come over, and he's gonna like give you injections that I get, like B12, like a banana bag kind of thing. You're gonna feel amazing. So the doctor came over, and he was like, you just want everything that Patty gets? I give her this, like, to help her sleep. Do you want this or whatever? And she was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And she was, like, expecting it to be, like, baby Benadryl.
Patti LuPone is on expert level.
Apparently, it, like, fully sedated her. She was, like, aware, and so then Patty came home and was, like, so scared. She was like, oh, darling, no! she said she was like trying to just like shove an English muffin in her mouth to try to soak it up or whatever. So funny. It was an amazing story, and she told it.
There's like that tweet or something where it's like Aubrey Plaza has the energy of like an alien who was sent to Earth to observe us.
Yeah.
But then accidentally got famous
and now she can't leave. Yeah.
But no, I do find she's putting it on thick. I think it works because most of them are.
Yeah.
But it does have a slight Scooby-Doo episode quality.
Sure.
Where it like we've got these 6 characters and that's it.
Yeah.
They buried Sharon, and Rio came. She menaced them. Nobody trusts each other, but also they've like bonded greatly at the same time.
Yeah, that's where it's like inconsistent. Also, to your point about the
I'm trying so hard to not be a jerk.
To your point about the kind of like witchcraft, like elementary witchcraft, it's so funny because I remember, and the episode just aired with our my Buffy stuff with Trevor. When Willow is resurrecting Buffy, she just is like, they get the last like item that they need or whatever, and she goes, okay, so like tomorrow, we'll just do it tomorrow. I was like, you don't need like a moon phase or something? Mm-hmm. Like what? We're just anything.
I need water and moonlight. Yeah. She goes.
They also just like when they.
But to be fair, as someone who has practiced very gentle witchcraft, it be like that.
It does.
People are like, and if you can't find virgin's blood, store-bought is fine.
Sure. But it's just so funny to me because, especially when they were making the like antidote for the wine, and they got to the like petroleum products, they just dumped like 8
the whole
full
container,
closed, unopened bottle. Like, and I was like, okay, a little bit of shenanigans. This doesn't feel quite right.
So,
but there is stuff like that that's sometimes funny, like using the sous vide machine to heat the sink as like a cauldron, which also I was like, as if that kitchen doesn't have a ton of pots and pans. You use the sink, whatever. But like that kind of stuff is very funny. And I love that Teen is helping in that way. It was like, oh, there's a sous vide machine. And Agatha's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
So, yeah, episode 4, they get to the House of the Rising Sun. It's like everybody gets rock makeovers, like disco rock and roll, though. Do we want to rank the looks?
Okay, I am very torn between Sashir and Kathryn Hahn.
Okay, so...
those gold lame bell-bottoms are unbelievable.
I was going to say, for me, it was 100% Agatha but then she buttoned the top, and I didn't like it as much.
Okay.
I liked it more open.
Yeah.
And then, like, Rio almost had, like, a Diana Ross.
Almost, yeah.
Like, the hair pulled back and the big buns in the back.
Yeah.
And then kind of like a flamenco-looking thing.
Yeah.
Alice was kind of, it was like between a pirate and a rock star.
Well, it kind of looked like Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Teen looked like a Bee Gee.
It was adorable. And actually, it's funny that you say that because when I was looking up, because he's from the Isle of Man, which is a whole thing, the actor, Joe Locke, I found out the Bee Gees are also descended from the Isle of Man. And I was like, that's actually
funny.
Quite clever. I like that a lot.
And then, Jen had like a, kind of like a disco flower child.
It was very like Minnie Riperton. Yeah. It was like white, like pinkish white, and like a halter neck, like fuzzy thing, and her hair.
And
so
then
good.
Lilia looked straight up like Liza Minnelli.
So funny.
And almost whipped a full tit out.
Almost.
I
literally was like, okay, tits out, Patti LuPone.
And it's like, I enjoy, because basically they were in this like rock and roll, like
a studio, almost like a recording studio.
But it was like a den. Like it was like where,
like the 70s. Yeah. Like a conversation pit.
And they were being overcome by a curse, I guess. That was like they were burning or like on fire, but it only happened to Lilia and Jen.
It started happening to Agatha when they started singing.
Okay.
But then she made it keep going. Yeah.
And I guess we found out that Alice has these scars, these like burn slash scars that I guess she was born with because it's like a generational curse.
Yeah.
And it's why her mother did the ballad. They kept talking about like, it's actually funny because it's what happened in the show. But the way they kept talking about how her mother made that, I'm like, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
To put that type of magic to the masses, to have like the masses perform. But then it ended up being, and it's stuff like that I was like, that really worked for me.
Yeah. Especially because Agatha, I think it was Agatha, was like, your mother was trying to open the road at all of her concerts. That's what was happening, wasn't it? And she was like, yep.
And the song was like, somehow, the way that she like recorded the song and had it out there, it was to protect Alice. But we don't actually know what the curse was.
No.
Other than it resembled a harpy, a very scary harpy.
It was pretty scary.
And that's sort of where I'm like, okay, but what? We need to pick a level because the handful, like when it showed up, I was like, ah! And we kind of went to like a Night on Bald Mountain place, and I was sort of like, and it screamed and then landed on Alice, and then they finished the song, and then it's over. The curse is done because they finished the song, and okay,
yeah. Again, it's like a very like, and then because we killed the queen, they all died, and it's like I'm okay with that sometimes, but like we're reaching back to the same well a lot.
And so then Teen got thrown through the like glass recording and got like a shard of glass in his side, and then they put dirty water in it, and it.
She blessed it with the moonlight.
I know. I'm being now. I'm being a jerk. But, he seems like he's on the mend.
Yeah.
Agatha is very attached to him.
Well, she believes he's her son.
So we think that, or did they say that, or
she believes he is because I think that's why he said, "Did you put the sigil on me?" And she's like, "I wouldn't know even if I had because it works on me too, so I have no idea." But then Rio was like, "That's not your boy." And it's like, she's not fully trustworthy, but I kind of trust her about that.
Yeah. Well, because in the mythos, they said that Agatha had traded Nicholas for the Darkhold. Yeah. And then her nightmare or her vision was
the Darkhold in a baby cradle. Yeah.
I was thinking it was more metaphoric, but no, you're right. She might actually literally have been thinking that. I don't know. That almost... So then they traded some war stories, and Rio hurt someone.
It's obviously Agatha.
To the point where I started playing 3D chess, where I was sort of like, it's so clearly her that it's got to be a misdirect.
No.
And this isn't a big misdirecting show.
It's she absolutely hurt Agatha. They almost kissed and didn't. It's come on.
It's not really bothering me because...
It's not really bothering me.
Well, sometimes, like, it's text that they're romantic.
Yes.
It's not subtext. And sometimes when that's the case, we need the kiss as confirmation.
Sure.
And I feel like we've got confirmation.
No, they are lovers through the ages.
Yeah.
Up and down, all around. Yes. For the most part, yeah. I mean, Teen was like recovering, and the rest of them were like largely okay, and they were gonna go to the next. They're gonna rest for a little while and then go to the next challenge, which will be next week.
All in all, like I said, I'm enjoying it. I'm on the show side. I want it to succeed. I have a little bit of hopes. I kind of want it to.
I'm just at the point where we've got 5 episodes, 4 weeks left, because the last 2 are coming out at the same time as well. And I just sort of feel, obviously, so like if it was for Sharon, then we've had Sharon's challenge and we've had Alice's challenge. And so we need to have Jen and Agatha and Lilia and maybe Teen. And maybe Rio. Yeah. And so I'm like, is that... Then,
that's where I'm sort of... I'm like, are Teen and Rio part of this or not?
Part of it, exactly.
Because they're trying to have it...
Both ways.
And I mean, maybe that's because I said this isn't a misdirecty show, and I mean, it is. Yeah. But we didn't put a button on it, and I wanted to because it actually was one of my favorite parts from the pilot. But they were talking about how, for a witch, you're never more than, like, within a 3-mile radius, there's enough other witches to form a coven, but they might not know that they're witches or be practicing or be like and so I really liked that, and so I feel like we have to get Sharon back. I was like, she has to be a latent witch or a misdirect or like a villain in disguise, something,
or at the very least we need to then tap in Emma Caulfield.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I know. I'm very sad, but because it's like Deborah Jo Rupp isn't exactly a grand, but sure she is. I'm gonna say it right now, she's a grand dame. TV. Yeah, as far as television goes. And so there's gotta be a reveal. There's gotta be something there. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I'm largely enjoying it. There are things I would change. And things I want more of. But good.
More of the stuff I like and less of the stuff I didn't.
How about that?
Put that in your pipe.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Bye!